Small business has had a tough time over the past few years. From pandemics to floods, it's been particularly tough for women in small business. And the challenges continue with strikes, new IR laws. Joining me here in the studio is the founder of Small Business Women Australia, Amanda Rose, also known as the Boss Lady. Amanda, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Congratulations, you won an award. I was watching your Instagram. Tell me about it.
Oh yes, the Edna Ryan Award. So it is to acknowledge women who are pretty much changing the status quo and making a difference for women everywhere. So got one in leadership. It was lovely.
Congratulations.
Thank
Good to see you championing the space, because there's difficulty, isn't there? There's tough things that are happening. Let's start with some of these strikes.
Yes.
We articulated earlier that sort of transport strikes have been going for 18 months. Now we're seeing the tugboats.
It is, and the thing is, so I always use the line, I'm pro-union but not pro-union control. And I think what's happened is that employees get hyped up, you know, there's fear. Don't forget they've got to pay for their families, they've got to look after, you know, it's their livelihood at stake here. But I don't want them missing out on income at all. And I want them to understand, everyone, just like when you're voting, what is the strike really about? Is it just a power play at the top, or are they genuinely representing you and your needs? So I think there's a lack of communication, and this has been going on for years, to the employee or to the individual or to the small business owner, and that needs to change.
What about some of the things that have happened over the past few years? Of course, pandemic sort of swirls around there in the background. But we're seeing these awful pictures, and our hearts go to all the people affected in flood zones.
Yes.
But some of the small businesses in some of these rural settings, they live week to week, don't they?
Sometimes day to day, and sometimes if it wasn't for their local community, they would not survive. I think regional and rural Australia in general are neglected, and the small business women that are trying to keep their families together, and people need to consider the suicide rates of farmers. They need to understand where does food come from? So we need to actively go out of our way to support them as much as possible.
Does government talk to women in business enough?
No. So the thing is, often women are considered, oh, that's cute, you've got a small business. Women are starting small businesses faster than men. They're also doing it for financial independence, and a third of all small businesses are run by women. So, but they're not listened to, they're not asked questions, they're ignored, and that is why I started Small Business Women Australia. So we want to have a voice. They need to understand that women hire a lot of women, so it's their financial security also. And low profit margin businesses like retail, hospitality. So for example, with the new industrial relations laws, if there is, you know, collective bargaining and they increase wages in a low profit margin business, now mind you, women want to pay well for their women and for their staff, they could shut down because of the low profit margin. So if they shut down, then you've got 20, 30 people instantly unemployed, and the unemployment will go up. And to me, I'm concerned about the financial security of women, both the business owner and the staff.
So there was virtually zero consultation on that front.
There was. And look, and also it's been rushed. I think anything that is rushed, what are they hiding? So in life, in general, whether it's a meeting, an organisation, government, if something's been pushed quickly, then you've got to say, hang on a minute, if actual MPs I've spoken to don't know the detail, then how can the community know the detail? We need time to negotiate, discuss, and know how it'll impact our business.
And they need to understand the nuance, don't they? Because as you mentioned before, a lot of these small businesses are different to what we've seen before.
Very different.
And a lot of these women are juggling balls everywhere.
That's right. And you'll see a small business, a female owner of a small business, often, say they've got 30 staff, 10 of them might be single mums, so they have a different agreement with them to support them in their way. It might be younger, so they're supporting them because they're going to uni, and it's all very unique, and that takes a lot of effort and care and heart. But if you come in and completely change it and force certain conditions that aren't relevant to that unique business, they'll say, well, then why bother being in business?
Well, you're out there at the coalface. What about cost of living? We're seeing interest rates rise, petrol prices continue to stay high.
That's right. So cost of living, again, hits the small business, not just women. So if you think of tradies, they've got to pay tolls, fuel, everything. That keeps going up. So we kind of forget that the actual small business owner, they have to pay for that increase of cost of living as well. They manage to pay themselves, and small businesses, that's paying for their school fees for their children, their food. It's not like they're making millions of profit. So it's not like the large companies that can find ways to avoid tax in this country. We're talking the people that are holding up this country with their taxes.
Yeah, and there's been some brave moves, hasn't there, through a difficult time. People starting businesses, during a very uncertain, almost a maelstrom, like a whirlpool atmosphere.
Absolutely, and they're still trying to recover. So the Small Business Women Australia survey, the women said it would take them at least 2 years to get back to normal to recover, and a lot of them are in debt. So they use their savings to actually keep their staff employed because they didn't want them to not eat. So we're talking probably the most hardworking, caring people are being ignored.
You ever thought about going into politics?
Maybe.
I wouldn't stuff around with you.
Good.
Well, congratulations on the award. Always good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend.
You too.